Welcome to my channel. Today, we're exploring Stellar Defiance, a sci-fi journey where humanity stands strong and defies the odds across the galaxy. Dive into epic starship battles, powerful tech, and the resilience that makes us unstoppable in a universe full of challenges. If you're ready for a thrill-packed adventure in deep space, hit subscribe, and let's get started. The aftermath of the Council's compromise left humanity scrambling to prepare. The Eidolons' retrieval of Alpha Earth's core vault had unleashed a torrent of activity across the colonies. Engineers worked day and night to adapt the ancient technologies to modern systems, while scientists struggled to unlock the secrets buried within the data cores. The knowledge retrieved from the vault offered both hope and peril. On one hand, it was a lifeline, a chance to rebuild ecosystems, develop new habitats, and even restore some semblance of the life humanity had lost. On the other, it was a beacon, drawing the attention of not just the Zalith, but every faction in the galaxy. For Captain Elias Kale, the next few weeks were a blur of responsibility. Though he had no official role in the Council, his success had elevated him to a position of influence, and he was called upon repeatedly to mediate disputes, offer strategic advice, and coordinate efforts across the colonies. It was a role he reluctantly embraced, knowing that the price of failure would be the extinction of his species. Yet the weight of leadership wore heavily on him. His time aboard the Eidolon had forged him into a soldier and a tactician, but diplomacy was an entirely different battlefield. One of his most persistent adversaries was Counselor Arkady, who represented the interests of Veritas Prime, one of humanity's wealthiest colonies. Arkady was fiercely protective of his colony's resources, viewing the core vault's treasures as a means to consolidate power rather than share it. During one particularly heated debate, Arkady accused Kale of jeopardizing humanity's future by antagonizing the Zalith. "Do you even understand the forces you've unleashed?" Arkady said, his voice rising above the murmurs of the council chamber. "The Zalith were a threat before, but now you've made us their primary target. And for what? A few dusty relics?" Kale clenched his fists, forcing himself to remain calm. "Those dusty relics are the reason we're still alive. Without them, we'd have no chance against the Zalith. And let's not forget that your colony has already benefited from the energy systems we retrieved." Arkady sneered. "Temporary benefits. What happens when the Zalith wipe us out? Will your precious core vault save us then?" Before Kale could respond, Tanis interjected. The AI's calm, synthesized voice carried a weight of authority that silenced the room. "The probability of survival without the technologies retrieved from Alpha Earth is less than 5%. The core vault increases that probability significantly, but only if humanity acts decisively. Prolonged infighting will negate any advantage we have gained." Kale seized the moment. "We don't have time for this. The Zalith are mobilizing, and every second we waste arguing is a second they use to prepare their attack. Either we stand together, or we fall separately." Shadows of the Zalith. As humanity scrambled to fortify its defenses, the Zalith were not idle. Deep within the cold expanse of space, their fleet assembled, each ship a testament to their dominance. The Zalith were not merely conquerors, they were predators, driven by an unyielding belief in their superiority. To them, humanity was an anomaly, weak and fragmented, yet defiant in ways that defied their understanding. The mission to Alpha Earth had only deepened the Zalith's obsession, for the core vault represented a piece of humanity's history that the Zalith had sought to erase. High Commander Stark stood on the bridge of his flagship, a vessel that dwarfed even the largest of humanity's ships. He gazed out at the fleet, his crimson eyes glowing with cold determination. The Zalith did not tolerate failure, and the loss of their strike force during the Alpha Earth mission had been a stain on their honor. Now, Stark had been tasked with rectifying that failure. His orders were clear: annihilate the human colonies, destroy the core vault's remnants, and ensure that no trace of Earth's legacy remained. Stark's adjutant, a younger Zalith named Vrother, approached cautiously. "High Commander, our scouts report increased activity among the human colonies. They are fortifying their defenses and deploying new technologies." Starrick's lips curled into a predatory smile. Let them prepare. Their desperation will make our victory all the sweeter. Vrother hesitated. There is something else, Commander. The energy signatures from the human vessels, they match descriptions of pre-collapse Earth technology. It seems they have activated the core vault's defenses. For a moment, Starrick's smile faltered. The core vault had been a legend among the Zalith, a relic of a time when humanity had rivaled even their own empire. If the humans had truly unlocked its secrets, they might pose a greater threat than anticipated. But Starrick quickly dismissed the thought. The Zalith had crushed Earth at the height of its power, they would crush its remnants just as easily. Prepare the fleet, he said. We will remind these vermin why they fear us. Tensions among the colonies. While the Zalith fleet advanced, tensions among humanity's colonies continued to simmer. Despite Kale's efforts, not all colonies were willing to contribute equally to the war effort. Some, like Veritas Prime, hoarded their resources, while others, such as the mining colony of Cestus IV, demanded greater protection in exchange for their support. Amid the political turmoil, Kale found solace in his crew. The Eidolon had become his anchor, a place where he could focus on the mission without the distractions of council politics. Dr. Vega, too, had found her purpose, immersing herself in the study of the core vault's data. Her discoveries had already yielded breakthroughs in energy generation and medical technology, but she was driven by a deeper goal: to understand the core vault's true purpose. One evening, Vega approached Kale in the ship's observation deck. She carried a data pad, her expression a mixture of excitement and concern. Captain, I've been analyzing the encoded messages we found in the core vault, she said. I think I've uncovered something important. Kale turned to her, intrigued. Go on. Vega hesitated, as if unsure how to explain. The messages suggest that the core vault wasn't just a repository of knowledge. It was part of a larger plan. Earth's final defenders knew they couldn't win, so they created something that could turn the tide if it ever came to this. Kale frowned. What kind of something? Vega tapped the data pad, and a holographic projection appeared, showing a schematic of a massive structure. It's called the Aegis Array. According to the data, it's an ancient orbital weapon capable of disrupting neural networks, essentially a weaponized EMP for organic life. It could incapacitate the Zalith fleet. Kale studied the projection, his mind racing. And the downside? Vega's expression darkened. It's not selective. It would affect humans too, though to a lesser extent. Using it would be a last resort. Kale nodded slowly. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. The battle for Nix 4. The Zalith fleet arrived at Nix 4 in overwhelming force, their ships blotting out the stars as they descended upon the colony. Humanity's fleet, bolstered by the core vault's technologies, met them in a desperate struggle. The Eidolon led the charge, its experimental energy shields and advanced weaponry allowing it to hold its own against the larger Zalith ships. The battle was a chaotic symphony of destruction. Fighters darted between capital ships, their weapons lighting up the void. Explosions tore through the darkness as ships on both sides were reduced to debris. Kale directed the battle from the Eidolon's bridge, his commands precise and unwavering. Tanis worked alongside him, calculating strategies and coordinating the fleet's movements. Despite humanity's newfound strength, the Zalith fleet was relentless. Their ships pushed through the defensive lines, targeting the orbital stations and surface installations. Kale knew that if they breached the colony's defenses, all would be lost. Captain, Tanis said, its voice tinged with urgency. The Aegis Array is operational. Dr. Vega is preparing to activate it. Kale hesitated. The array was their last, most desperate option. Using it would incapacitate the Zalith, but it would also leave humanity vulnerable. Yet as the Zalith closed in, he realized they had no choice. Do it, he said. Humanity's dawn. When Vega activated the Aegis Array, a wave of energy radiated outward, invisible but devastating. The Zalith ships faltered, their systems failing as their crews were incapacitated. Humanity's ships, though affected, managed to hold together long enough to exploit the opening. The Zalith fleet was routed, and the remnants retreated into the void. The battle had been won, but at great cost. Thousands had died, and the colonies were left in ruins. Yet for the first time in centuries, humanity had stood together and triumphed. The core vault's legacy had saved them, and its technologies would continue to shape their future. Kale stood on the bridge of the Eidolon, gazing out at the stars. In the distance, the first of the orbital habitats based on the vault's designs was under construction. It was a symbol of hope, a promise that humanity's light would not be extinguished. As he watched, Vega approached, her expression weary but determined. "We've bought ourselves time," she said. "Now we have to use it wisely." Kale nodded. "We will. Alpha Earth gave us a second chance. Let's make sure we earn it."